You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans. Belle is going to freak out when EJ tries to get a mistrial in his son's criminal case this week, and she may dump her dimpled lover. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and now let's dive in. Belle decided to get a room over at the Salem Inn while her sister Hurricane Sami stays at the apartment with their mom Marlena. And since Belle had already told EJ they can't be seen in public, you know, Belle's been missing out on her daily dose of hanky-panky with her bad boy. So she slipped EJ a room key to her suite at the Salem Inn, and Belle is going to take off while EJ smiles and waits before he follows her over to the hotel. But is this Belle and EJ tryst the reason that he calls for a mistrial during Johnny's hearing? I wonder if EJ is setting up Belle or just taking advantage of something that falls into his lap. Even though they decided to cool things off during Johnny's trial, I mean, the fact is plenty of people already know EJ and Belle are involved. So she and EJ are already under scrutiny since Belle's the prosecuting DA and EJ is his son Johnny's defense attorney, as well as the shooting victim. So it wouldn't look good at all if the jury or the public knew that Belle and EJ are in a steamy romance. However, that ship may sail. It may leave the dock soon because Belle's jaw is going to drop when EJ calls for a mistrial. So is he going to expose their fling? No matter who does, things are going to go downhill quickly for Belle and EJ. And by the end of the week, things look really bad. So things at the moment seem fine when Belle slipped EJ her room key, but that's hot on the heels of some pretty bad testimony in Johnny's case. In addition to Paulina testifying that Johnny was glad EJ got shot, we had Gabby on the stand saying she heard them argue. What's crazy to me is DA Belle put Gabby on the stand, a woman who admits she was lurking outside EJ's house with a gun in her hand. Why would Gabby be considered a credible witness? She has every reason to lie. She was there with a firearm and everybody knows she wanted EJ dead. So frustrated by these setbacks, EJ is going to be happy to enjoy Belle for a sexy meetup at the Salem Inn to work out some of his frustrations in the bedroom. And it does make sense that Sami being in town sent Belle scurrying to the inn for a few nights. And Sami, as we know, hates the fact that EJ's dating Belle. And EJ's mom, Susan Banks, recently mentioned that EJ's ex-wife, Sami, is mean, and still obsessed with him. Plus, Days of Our Lives spoilers say EJ talks to Johnny about a big move in his legal strategy. So if you wonder, would EJ set up his girlfriend Belle and expose their affair to stop this trial against Johnny? The answer is yes. Capital yes. Of course, EJ would do that. Yes, he loves Belle, but he also loves Johnny, and EJ probably figures he can talk Belle out of being mad later. As Leo said to Gabby and Rafe, you know, this is the case where the DA and the defense attorney both want the guy on trial to be found not guilty. So what could be interesting is if EJ sets it up so that he and Belle are spotted canoodling, but then he frames somebody else. I mean, think about it. EJ may not admit that he revealed their relationship. Instead, he may throw blame at Sami. So we could see him actually setting this up, but then EJ could scapegoat Sami and say that she was jealous of Belle and expose them and reported their affair to the court. I mean, it would actually make sense for Sami to do it because it would tarnish Belle's reputation and could get Johnny a mistrial. And Sami definitely doesn't want Johnny going to prison for any crime, much less one that he didn't commit. So after their tryst in court, EJ demands a mistrial due to a conflict of interest. Now, there's also stuff coming where Johnny has to take the stand and he answers questions. So I'm not entirely sure if the mistrial request comes after Johnny gives his testimony as kind of a Hail Mary that EJ was holding in his back pocket, or he tries it and it doesn't work, and then Johnny has to take the stand. We'll find out by the end of this week. Other Days of Our Lives spoilers say that Belle goes off. She is ranting at EJ later this week and may blame him for setting her up and making her look bad. I mean, Paulina could fire Belle over this, although, to be real, Paulina also doesn't want to see Johnny convicted, but it could ruin Belle's reputation as a lawyer, as a district attorney. And if EJ does this, he could lose Belle, although it would, hopefully save Johnny from going to Statesville. But if EJ plays his cards right, he could shift the blame from himself over onto Sami and then explain to Belle that it's a win-win. EJ could pretend like he's indignant and tell Belle, we have to stick together. We can't let Sami break us up, and then he can hope the mistrial gives him time to find the real shooter so that Johnny won't wind up back on trial. We'll see if it works. It's a gambit. After all, everybody knows Sami hates that her little sister Belle is seeing her ex-husband EJ, and it's bad enough that Belle is forced to prosecute her nephew Johnny, but the judge could agree to the mistrial if EJ and Belle's romance is exposed. And if that happens, there's always a chance the DA's office could decide that there's not enough concrete evidence. Really, it's circumstantial evidence to proceed with a new case. The charges could be dropped against Johnny, or the judge may order a mistrial and say Belle and EJ can't be involved in the new trial, or the judge may say, denied, suck it up. You guys were involved from the get-go and you knew, and, she might punish them somehow. No matter what happens with Johnny's case, one thing is sure, Belle's going to be hurt over this, and I feel like there's a good chance she could dump EJ. As much as they say they love each other, this legal maneuver could absolutely be the downfall of his and Belle's relationship. I reported a while back that Belle and her ex-husband, Sean Douglas Brady, might get back together. And we know he cannot stand the fact that Belle rebounded with EJ, just as Belle couldn't stand that Sean fooled around with Jada Hunter. And I felt like there was a little foreshadowing about the possibility of them reuniting, because we saw Belle and Sean opening up to each other and really leaning on each other when John Black died while he was getting the drugs to save Bo Brady's life, and nobody wanted EJ around. So Belle got an idea what it would be like dealing with her family in situations like this when EJ's part of her life. So if Belle breaks up with EJ, she may not be single for long because Sean's around. But there's also the chance, honestly, even if Belle dumps EJ, that he could charm her and convince her to take him back.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.